What movie you peeping, Bouffant?
Probably the re-release of No Way Home with all the new stuff in it,
What the hell, little man? That can wait for on demand.
I'm sorry, what would you recommend then?
You know. Clerks 3, baby.
Oh-wee-oh.
I think I wanna know ya. Yeah, what?
What, that new Kevin Smith flick? Come on. That guy hasn't made a good movie since Zack and Miri made theirs.
What? Red State, son. That's a legit horror flick.
Sure.
Tusk has its fans too, bro.
Fine. That's okay, I get it. But as far as the whole View Askewniverse thing goes, it's been a while since dude's made a quality product. Come on.
That's the Voldemort of the entire Kevin Smith filmography, Silent Bob, and you know that! And don't discredit the reboot from a few years ago. That shit was the Mad Notes.
Whatever, man. I'm still gonna go see Spider-Man.
What? Kevin Smith set up his own cinematic universe before Marvel, son!
I thought I told you guys to get out of here. What a weird marketing tactic for Lionsgate.
Yeah, those guys have not aged well.
I thought the same. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Tavern Talk. I am Philip, and joining me once again, Mr. Jordan Mears.
Hello.
Hey.
Thank you for having me on here.
Always. Thank you for being here once again. Jordan just recently premiered a film that you've been working on for a couple of years, New West. So, I know you're submitting to a lot of festivals right now, but eventually we may, have an easier way to access it for the masses.
We're hoping that we can sell it to Adult Swim.
Heck yes.
I think it would do perfect on Adult Swim, so we'll see.
Yeah, no. Look, next couple of years, if you see New West, this is where it came from, this guy right here. So be looking for that. But no, once again, thank you. I know it's been kind of a whirlwind with the premiere of that recently and just, doing all the promotion for that. So thank you for being here, taking time out to do this. But I had to ask you to do this review with me, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about influences on your film, and Kevin Smith being one of them.
Yeah.
And so Kevin Smith has a new movie coming out, Clerks III, the third movie in this franchise that this View Askewniverse that has started his career and that he's returned to pretty frequently. I don't know that I expected a Clerks III.
I don't think anybody did.
Yeah. I know why. After seeing it, I know why there is a Clerks 3.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's just kind of go ahead and jump in. And if you want to start with where you do come at Kevin Smith's career from, and then kind of how that feeds into your thoughts on Clerks 3.
So I grew up watching Kevin Smith movies. I remember I was in the video store whenever I was a kid looking for something to rent, and of course my parents were like, just pick something and we'll go. And my mom just happened to pick up a copy of Mallrats, and she goes, Mallrats, that looks fun, that looks like something you might like, here, take that. And I was 8 or 9 years old.
That was my next question.
And I was like, yeah, okay. And I watched it and I loved it. You know, and this is when the internet was starting to boom, and so I, whenever I found out that there were more Jay and Silent Bob movies, more Kevin Smith films, I was like, whoa. And Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was just about to come out.
Yeah.
And so I was super jazzed for it. So yeah, I went from Mallrats to Clerks, and then Dogma, and then Chasing Amy.
Right. Yeah.
And of course Chasing Amy just went way over my head.
There's no period of adjustment, Holden. I am gay.
That age.
Yeah.
But now, I can appreciate it for what it is, and it's some of his best writing. And yeah, I've just always loved Kevin Smith's mixture of raunchy humor and heart. He always has something to say. He, different topics on whether it's geek culture, films, comic books, whatever. But then he also brings characters that have heart to it, characters that you care about and that you can identify with, and that you care what happens to them. And so whenever I heard that they were doing Clerks 3, I was just like, oh, okay, yeah. Because to me, Clerks 2 is the best film in the View Askewniverse. Like, that's my favorite Kevin Smith movie. The scene in the jail cell with Randal and Dante and Jay and Silent Bob and Kinky Kelly and the Sexy Stud. Like, that like 10 to 12 minute long scene where they're just like pouring their hearts out about their friendship and everything. I'm like, this is what it's all about. This is the heart of the movie, and this is why everybody loved the first film and why they'll love this film.
Right.
And so I was hoping that he was going to bring some more of that into Clerks 3.
Right.
And it had shades of that.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I was a little disappointed.
Gotcha.
I don't know what it is with his latest output from, like, I like Red State,
right.
All right. I like Tusk, all right. I hated Yoga Hosers, and I'm pretty sure Kevin Smith hates Yoga Hosers too.
Herb paid the true price. He watched Yoga Hosers.
But Clerks 3 felt like a fan film of a Clerks movie to me.
Gotcha.
Like, it just felt way too over the top and way too cut and paste in terms of, it seemed like some of the things that they used were outtakes. And
Yeah.
it seemed like there were some scenes where when Elias is on camera, I'm like, is he looking at the camera? Like, I know that he's like fidgeting and he's nervous and everything, but there were multiple times where I'm like, did he just spike the camera? It took time. It took a long time to get into.
Okay.
Because it just felt forced, I guess. Like, it definitely felt like fan service at times. And then as it went on, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of adapting to whatever it is that he's doing here. And by the end, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. But all of the emotional decisions and arcs that he put the characters through, to me, it just didn't feel earned.
Okay.
It felt like, especially stuff that happens like near the third act.
Right.
I'm like, this came out of nowhere. Like, they kind of set it up a little bit at the beginning, but then it just comes out of nowhere, and then it just ends, and you're just like, what?
I need an ambulance at the quick stop.
It seemed like all of the things that they were fighting about and grieving about with each other in the film, I'm like, you guys already covered this in Clerks 2.
Right.
Like, that scene, that jail scene in Clerks 2, like, they got everything out. Granted, I know that it's like 16 years have passed, and there are going to be more things that have built up.
Right.
Dante's gone through some things,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It just, to me, it rang false.
It was too much of too much poetry, too much echoing.
See the echo of, again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
Well, I mean, and even like Jay and Silent Bob, you know, they've always been like the comedic characters, the wacky ones.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Elias, who's still pretty wacky, but now everyone is super wacky. You've got Amy Sedaris, and she's dressed up like a witch because she's been to a Halloween party or something, and she's, you know, acting all wild and kooky. And then Justin Long, who I love and everything, he's acting wild and kooky. I'm like, literally every person in this is just so over the top, like, and it's, you know, you want it to be a little bit more grounded. Like,
Right.
Jay and Silent Bob were really wacky in the first one. And even if you go back to the first one, it's gritty, but it feels grounded in a way. It's like crazy scenarios happening to real people,
Right.
who are just kind of, I don't know if disenfranchised is the right word, but like done with everything.
Right, yeah.
You know, like, I'm not even supposed to be here today.
I'm not even supposed to be here today.
It just felt so over the top and kind of forced, because literally every person that comes onto the screen is just so over the top,
Yeah.
and there's nothing really to kind of ground it. And so when he does try to ground it, it completely falls flat for me.
No, I definitely, like, I understand a lot of that for sure. I don't know if I'll be able to, you know, like, as eloquently express why I enjoyed it more, because I'll say this. So I saw Clerks 2 in a theater for opening night. I had never seen Clerks.
Yeah.
I had never seen the original. So I had seen clips of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, but like Clerks 2 was my like introduction to Kevin Smith in a weird way.
That's a pretty good.
Yeah, and it was, and I, you know, the theater was cracking up, like laughs, you know, every couple minutes, like big laughs. And I was kind of just shocked because obviously, if Kevin Smith, or the first Kevin Smith movie I saw was Clerks 2, I was a little sheltered growing up. I didn't get to Kevin Smith until 2006 or whatever that was. So so I just had not seen, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so I'd seen R-rated comedies before, but I had just the pop culture references.
One ring to rule them all. One ring to find them.
The astuteness on the observation.
Say what you will about Jesus, but leave the rings out of this.
And he's trying to say something about something, but he's making it funny. It's making it super easily digestible. But having watched the other Kevin Smith films now, like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and everything, so Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, that feels more like a spoof.
We're going to Hollywood.
Than the more grounded Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy.
Yes.
Even Dogma is a little fantastical, but it still feels grounded.
Anyone who isn't dead or from another plane of existence would do well to cover their ears.
In an over-the-top way. And then Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back is him going into Zucker Brothers airplane mode.
Yeah.
We're going to Hollywood.
And
he has been on that wavelength lately more than anything else.
Especially
whether it be
with
Reboot, and Clerks 3 definitely feels, whereas Clerks 2 and obviously the first movie felt very grimy, very lived in.
Exactly.
There is a sheen and a polish and just a shine to this movie, like you were saying. And I don't know if that's just like a byproduct of how things are made today, the technology we have today. And you might be able to speak more to that.
Here's the thing that kind of blows my mind, and this is nothing against the DP or the gaffers and grips.
Mm-hmm.
I did not find Clerks 3 to be a pretty looking movie. Granted, Kevin Smith would be the first one to tell you my movies aren't pretty.
Cinematic.
Yeah. But Clerks 3 had $2 million more in its budget than Clerks 2 had.
Yeah, and I definitely agree on that point because that has just been a trend of his, going back to yoga hosers and stuff. Because Red State and Tusk still had that film cinematic quality to it.
I rewatched Tusk the other day, and I'm like, man, this movie looks really great.
Tusk really does, and I was, when I saw Reboot and it had that same kind of phony plastic sheen to it, I was like, oh no, and I was kind of worried about that with Clerks 3. I don't know if the heart of Clerks 3 just wore me down to the point it kind of became secondary, the look of it, I mean. So I was kind of, you said it took a while to get going for you. He did get me in the bag with that My Chemical Romance song right away.
Playing on nostalgia.
It totally was. And the funny thing, or kind of the ironic thing about the way it looks is the one time Silent Bob speaks in this movie, he talks about the artistic vision.
And just because I didn't love this film like I love the other ones, I don't dislike it. It felt too much like a spoof of a Clerks film for me to really grab onto me.
Well, and I'll say my favorite part about Clerks 3 was that Randal through the first and second movies has always kind of been this kind of arrogant, condescending figure who has been a spectator purely, but comments on everything. And they kind of touch on this in one of Dante's speeches in the movie about how he, thinks everybody is waiting for him to weigh in. He gets the final word on everything. And this one finally kind of, it doesn't necessarily give him a comeuppance, but it does give him, what I was saying earlier is why Clerks 3 exists is because of Kevin Smith's heart attack and that kind of personal experience of feeling like he's been given this second chance. And so, if he has the opportunity and, someone's going to give him the money to make another Clerks with his buddies, why not say something about that with this? So I get why it's there. And I like that Randal is finally given an alternate perspective.
That's fair.
He is finally, he dogs Dante all the time, or through the other films, because he is willing to put himself out there emotionally, wants kind of the, the suburban dream of the wife and the kids and this different type of life and everything. And he never really, finally, the thing here is that he finally kind of gets it a little bit. I don't want to get obviously into spoiler territory.
No, it's interesting that you say that because you saying that just now makes me think like, okay, and they even touch on this in this one where it's like Dante's the main character in
Right.
Clerks. And then also in Clerks II, Dante is still the main character. Like, a lot of the arcs and through lines are about Dante moving to Florida or this or that. And this one kind of switches, it
Right.
like shifts focus more on Randal, and so Dante takes more of a back seat.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what was jarring to me or what, but then of course when specific things happen later on in the third act, I'm just like, this dude's felt like a second wheel this whole movie, and
Right.
I'm supposed to care, like,
Yeah,
you know?
I didn't mind where that went because we like, and Smith has always talked about how Dante was kind of him, you know, when he wrote the first Clerks and everything, even though his attitude was more Randal, you know, and so that kind of like evening the playing field with this final film, like, kind of made sense as far as like why he wrote it that way. But also, like, I just want to say that Brian O'Halloran,
man, he gives a performance in this.
and I had always shortchanged him because I never thought, like, he seemed always like the Smith's buddy who was just like willing to star in Clerks, got lucky with what happened to it, and like kind of was one of those guys who, like, you could tell he was acting when he was acting. But here there are a couple scenes with Rosario Dawson, one of those third act scenes, and then just others sprinkled throughout where, like, he brings it, and it was legit, and I was like, good on you, because like he completely changed my mind about his abilities, his acting abilities.
100%. You know, I did have fun with it. I did have fun with it. And it was great to see these characters again. It was like seeing old friends, you know, and you could tell that it was a big love affair.
Right.
For all involved. I just think that there was a better story that probably could have been told. Like, you know, still keeping with the whole heart attack thing and everything.
Right.
Because, you know, and this isn't giving anything away, but towards the end of the movie that they're making is almost like not even a big deal. Like, it's almost like they just kind of let it go.
Well, I mean, what I got was that the movie they were making was supposed to be the original Clerks.
It was.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, it's just like we don't know what happened when they when he finished.
Yeah, stay through the credits because Kevin Smith gives a little thing, but that kind of answers that a little bit. But no, I'm glad you said that because I was worried, you know, that first time through watching it, like, oh man, this is relying on a lot of the bits from the original. It is echoing a lot of the same kind of character dynamics from the second one, like you were saying. And I was like, are we just over relying on everything here a little too much? But I think there was enough there around those familiar cushions to kind of like give us enough, at least validate why he wanted to make this. And I do want to say like that, I think, you know, as much as I talked about O'Halloran, Jeff Anderson does, again, like you said,
he's super strong.
So good. And like it is there are a lot of cameos.
Ben Affleck.
Here today.
But yeah, so I feel like we could probably talk about this for
we
hours on
can
end.
talk about it
But you know, obviously, at the end of the reviews, we try to do an initial reaction rating at least. I know you're gonna probably see this multiple times, and I am curious. Like, now that you've seen it, now that the expectations have kind of been, kind of set in a way, if you'll warm up to it or not.
I'm sure. Like, it's definitely something that I'll watch again because I genuinely love Kevin Smith movies. I love his writing. I love his style. I'm a big fan of his, and I'll always be a big fan of his, even whenever he makes movies that I don't necessarily like or agree with. And I'm sure he would probably be like, I don't agree with some of them. I don't like some of them. You know, that's just part of being a filmmaker. You're not always gonna, be in the A game, batting your best. But so initial reaction to this, it's out of 5, right?
Yeah, out of 5. What would you go?
I would say 2.5.
Okay.
I'll say 2.5 out of 5.
Honestly, I was trying to go. I definitely enjoyed it a lot, and I don't know if it was just because it felt that his A game as far as balancing that raunch and heart was really on point. Yes, there are a lot, not a lot, but some bold shortcomings with it. But like, I did really enjoy it, and it might go up, honestly, if I watch it again, and I probably will, but I'm probably going to go 3.5 for right now.
Okay.
Like, I really did, and that's kind of a safe rating, but I really did enjoy it, and I would suggest, like, and I'm sure you would agree, if you are a fan of Kevin Smith, obviously you're going to check this out anyway. But yeah, I would, if you have the opportunity to see this on the big screen, definitely check out Clerks 3, in the theater.
Yeah.
But,
And then after that, go and watch Jersey Girl.
watch
Jersey Girl
Yeah.
again, because honestly, like, that was one of his most, like, derided films
Yeah.
when it came out. I watch Jersey Girl like once or twice a year. I'm like, this movie's so sweet. It's so nice. So after you watch Clerks 3, go and rewatch
And
Jersey
if there's
Girl.
anyone out there like who happens to be like me and somehow winds up seeing a sequel to Clerks before you see the actual Clerks, go see like all those early Kevin Smith movies.
Yeah.
The Dogmas, the Chasing Amy's, the first two
Mallrats.
Clerks, Mallrats, yeah. It's a big, not a big, but it's a hearty recommendation for me. And I know Jordan, despite like, your feelings on it initially, like as a Kevin Smith fan, it's obligation.
I felt let down.
Yeah.
That's
No, I honestly, I really do understand it, even though I don't even know if it's like I appreciated it more than I like loved it.
Yeah.
But like I really did appreciate what was going for it. I could feel that his heart was fully in it.
Yes, and I can agree with that,
Yeah.
especially because after everything that's happened to him and him
Right.
putting all of that in the film, I'm like, okay, this is the film that he felt like he had to make.
Right, exactly.
Because, and he's even said it, like, do what you want to do because your time on Earth is limited.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he made the film that he wanted to make,
Right.
and I applaud him for that. Yeah. And, I hope that with rewatches of it that I'll be able to appreciate it even more. And I'm sure, like, I didn't really like This Is 40 whenever I first saw it, but I was also 25 or whatever when I first saw it. So I was like, I'm sure I'll be able to appreciate this later on when I'm older.
You don't like me?
That's so funny you say that because I put that on last night, and it is a different movie when you're older.
Do what in the fort?
Woo! But no, thank you, Jordan, for doing this. I
thanks for
really
having me.
appreciate it. See Clerks 3 on the big screen. If you have a movie tavern near you, definitely seek it out at a movie tavern. Thank them for letting us see the movies here, shoot the show in their theaters. And thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, notification bell. We upload a new review of the biggest release every week, so you hit that notification bell. You'll know when those go up. But thank you guys. Thank you, Jordan, once again.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
See you.
All right. And action.